May we have your opening statements, Mr. Senator?
Well, as you said, we have just opened, we just cut the ribbon for the new service that is being provided, the free Wi-Fi in Burnham Park. So I think that is a very significant development because, as we know, internet connectivity is no longer a luxury but a need. The way that we do business today, and it's good to see Baguio at the forefront, where Baguio at the forefront of this continuing trend that we see, not only here in the Philippines but even around the world. It is the government who provides that free connectivity to the people, and I think it is a good sign that Baguio remains progressive, remains technically innovative, and in that way provides the best service that they can to its people. So I congratulate the mayor and I congratulate the proponents of the project.
Sir, reaction lang doon sa latest na survey na lumabas sa Pulse Asia na nasa number 2 ka na ngayon.
Dati pa ako nandito kahit nung pagka-file ko, we were already running close with Senator Cheese. So, palagay ko, that is parang snapshot yun ng last month. So, at this point, wala namang, of course it is we look at the surveys, pero hindi namin pinagpapasihan yung aming ginagawa dahil dun sa survey. Dahil at this point, anim na pa, malayo pa, that it's not as useful as surveys closer to the election and during the campaign period. So, ganyan yan. I anticipate that, like we have had before, na marami pang dadating na iba't ibang survey. Meron sinasabi na private, meron sinasabi na gano'n. But whatever the survey say, you can only control yourself. So you just continue with your own plan, with your own campaign. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, susunod na magtatanong si Jonathan Llanes ng PDP4.
Magbigat yung sir, the Cordillera region is wanting to talaga become an autonomous region, and most of the political governors been asking us if there will be a possibility for you to ask some of the questions to our candidates, especially senators. Could you please ask them if, like for instance, on your part, will you be supporting the Cordillera region to become an autonomous region?
Well, yes, of course. But it is not a question of support, it's a question of law. The Constitution mandates that 2 autonomous regions be created, one in the Cordilleras and one in Western Mindanao. Kaya naman naging napaka-importante na naging yung usapan tungkol sa BBL. At nung naibigay sa amin ang batas, ang original draft ng BBL, lahat ng CAR congressmen nag-file na ituloy yung autonomous region of the Cordilleras. But as you remember, after the first Congress in this after the change of government in 1986, the first Congress was mandated to create 2 autonomous regions. But that was subject to a plebiscite. Ang plebiscito rito sa Cordilleras did not prosper, kaya hindi natuloy. The one in Muslim Mindanao, they won the vote, that's why natuloy. So, there is a question kung paano naman how can we go back? Pwede pa bang gawin ulit? Palagay ko pwede naman. Bakit hindi? Kung ganyan ang ibibigay sa atin ng national government, pwede na natin gawin autonomous region lahat. Gawin na, i-ano na natin yung buong Ilocania, sabihin na, Ilocano Nation. Autonomous region. Gawin na natin yun. So, yeah, but why not? If it leads to better governance, if it leads to better services to the people, bakit naman hindi?
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Susunod magtatanong si Ma'am Malu Laksamana Pascual ng Luzon Morning. Ma'am Malu, I think that's the mic.
Good morning, sir. Ito po kasi yung nag-draw ng reactions in the past, ano, nung may lumabas na mga issue na dapat daw ay mag-apologize kayo, no, sa taong bayan. At gusto po namin marinig sa mga oras na to mula sa inyo, nararapat po ba na kayo po ay mag-apologize sa bayan ng Pilipino?
Kung meron akong kasalanan, kahit na kanino, handa naman akong humingi ng tawad. But what am I, the question is always, we will apologize for, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I was supposed to apologize for. Hindi talaga maliwanag. Now, if I have caused any pain, if I have wronged anyone, if I have misjudged anyone in any way, I'll be happy to apologize to them. I own up to my mistakes. I own up to my failings. But so that is not really an issue. But it's not clear exactly what it is. If you can present to me someone who suffered because of any action of mine or decision of mine, I will apologize.
The Solid North Voters Block that your dad was famous for rally behind you?
So far, tingnan mo, nandito si Apo Mayor, nandito yung ating buting Manong Bernice also here. They were the ones, Manong Bernice was there. When we talked about the Solid North, he was already part of that. And he was one of the leaders of my father. So you can see, I think that I'm very happy to be able to say na so far, sa lahat ng mga leadership, at least with the leadership of the so-called Solid North, it looks like the Solid North remains to be solid. And I think that the results of the next election will show. But nawala kasi ang Solid North because in 1986, the northern part of Luzon was not really attended to by the following administrations. But I think that we have been quiet, but I think I think that in the next election, the voice of the North will be heard once again.
Thank you, Senator, for that solid answer. More question that.
Sir, regarding po yung sa napakalaking ginastos sa APEC, do you think that's justifiable since the country is still mired in poverty?
Well, if you know, it is, I do not understand. Meron mga nagsasabi that the security arrangements overkill. How can you have overkill in the security arrangements for 21 heads of states, the most powerful heads of states in the world? You cannot. You must make sure that you do that nothing happens. Can you imagine if isipin nyo kung may nangyari habang nandito sila? Kung paano tayo mapapahiya? No amount of money can buy your reputation back pagkatapos kung may mangyari na gano'n. I think maybe of course we are interested to know kung saan napunta yung 10 billion pesos. Pero palagay ko, kung maganda ang naging usapan nila, kung maganda ang naipakita natin, at meron tayo, isipin natin, we made trade arrangements, we made business deals that amounted to 100 billion, ano yung 10 billion? So it depends. First of all, you have to be, if you are going to host a very important international conference, like the APEC conference that we just had, you have to make sure that you do it properly. And security is a very, very large part of that equation. So I'm glad that it has gone well and it has been well organized. You know, if you want to play with the big time, wag kayong small time. Diba? If you want to play with the big guys, you play with the big guys. Don't play with this kind of. But you have to bring home the bacon. You spend 10 billion pesos. I hope that they bring us trade deals that are worth hundreds of billions over the next few years. Then we can say it's worth it. So, we should not we should not be taking pot shots at efforts of our country. This is our time to shine. Tayo mismong mga Pilipino, sinisiraan natin yung ginagawa na, nagmamalaki na tayo, pinagmamalaki natin ang Pilipinas. Kapwa Pilipino sumisira sa atin. Paano mo pagmamalaki? Ipagmamayabang ang Pilipinas. Kung yung kapitbahay mo, sinasabi, bakit dito, hindi tama yung ginagawa ninyo. Diba? That's not the way to operate within the international community. So, let us recognize what it is about. Now, of course, 10 billion pesos is a great deal of money. And we will find out where it all went. But if our economic managers in their meetings with the other government leaders will have made some advantageous trade arrangements with all of these other countries, bawing-bawi yan. Bawing-bawi.
Okay, from the Manila Times, Larry Madarang.
Sir, your standard federalism.
I'm sorry?
Federalism.
Well, that's why when I talk about the autonomous regions, it is, I think, already with the recognition federalism might be the way to go. That papunta na tayo, that the trend with the autonomous regions is towards a federalized form. Now, kung pwede yun para sa buong bansa, well, that's another question. I think that as a principle, as a form of government, federalism is a good one, might be applicable to the Philippines. And there are many reasons for that. But I would like to still see kung ano ba talaga, paano natin gagawin. Kung makapag-decide na tayo na mag-federalize, how do we change the local government units? How do we change the local government structures so that we are sensitive to the political subdivisions that we have. So I think we should talk about it. I think we should examine the possibility, and I think we should try to come up with practical ways to actually implement such a kung kaya ba natin gawin. What do we have to do? Do we have to change the constitution completely? Yes, we will have to. We will have to make people understand what federalism is. For any form of government to work, not only the leadership but also the people have to understand how that form of government works. So that's a long road. But if we should discuss it, and if we choose to do it, those are the elements that we should be talking about and thinking about.
Any follow-ups, Larry? Okay, we have Jimmy Bernabe, DZWR.
Thank you very much. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Mr. Senator, I saw you in the Facebook recently about your visit to Leyte. Tanong ko lang po sa inyo, napasyal po kayo doon. Are you satisfied with the way the government is doing with the rehabilitation efforts of Leyte, Samar, and other central Visayas provinces?
Let me illustrate this whole situation in one way. Not one single government official came to the second commemoration of your land. Not a single government official. Not the president. Only the vice president. But he's not, I guess he's no longer part of the executive since he resigned. But not a single, no cabinet secretary, no official, kahit na lokal, nobody, regional level, nobody came. That's the way that the government treats the victims of Yolanda. So I will leave it at that.
And ano po mga suggest niyo po para siguro mapaganda po yung buhay ng mga tao doon? Kasi hanggang ngayon po, hirap na hirap po sila.
Simple lang, gawin nila yung trabaho nila. Ang trabaho ng DSWD para tulungan yung mga biktima. Wala silang ginagawa. So yung NHA, magtayo sila ng mga bahay. Yung public works, maglagay sila ng water system. By the own admission of this government, ang kailangan na pabahay ay 250,000. Ang naitayo pa lang is 17,000. Those are their figures. Ngayon, sasabihin ko sa inyo, yung 17,000 na yun, walang water supply yun. Wala pang plumbing, wala pang electricity. Paano natin sasabihin doon sa mga tao, lumipat na kayo? Hindi naman matirahan yung mga bahay na yun. They want to live, they want to go to their new homes. But how can you tell them to go to their new homes? So, walang hanap buhay, walang eskwelahan, walang simbahan, walang palengke, walang tubig, walang kuryente. How can you ask people to go to those things? And that is the extent of the government's support. But again, nakita naman natin, pinuliti ka talaga nila. I don't know why. When what is hanging in the balance is not a political campaign or a political election, but what's hanging in the balance are the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Sir, kami nila billion-billion daw ang donations na para pupunta doon. Can we have, paano natin ma-account yun? Sino papanagutin natin dyan?
Mula nung nangyari, kung maalala nyo, Yolanda hit us November 8, 2013. Kasi November, nagkataon, nasa budget process kami. Papunta kami sa budget process. So, immediately nakapagdagdag kami sa budget, the amount of 180 billion, 120 billion on the calamity fund of the national government, and then an additional 60 billion specific to Yolanda. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa natin alam kung saan napunta yun. Ngayon, isa pa yun. Bukod pa dan, meron, alam naman natin, billion ang donation. Hindi lamang galing sa mga Pilipino na nasa abroad, kung hindi ang mga international aid agencies. Hanggang ngayon, hindi nila masabi sa atin kung saan napunta yung pera niya. Hanggang ngayon, hindi natin nakikita. Meron ako narinig na sinabi yata ng, I think baka si DSWD Secretary, sabi niya, nakapag-download na kami ng 7 billion sa Tacloban. Ang habol ko nga sa kanya, hali kayo, pumunta kayo rito, ipakita niyo sa amin kung saan napunta yung 7 billion na yan. Kahit isang lugar doon sa Tacloban, wala kang makikita na nagastusan ng even 100 million. Eh sila mismo nagsasabi, they only managed to spend 150 million. Where's the money? Meron tayong mga report na bubulok yung mga relief goods. Meron tayong mga report na na-expired na yung mga gamot. So bakit ganun? And sa dami, never mind politics, pero we have been asking, can you tell us how much we have done, what we still need to do, what is the available fund? This government does not feel the need to explain themselves in any way. Never mind that tens of thousands are still in makeshift homes. Never mind that people have no jobs. Never mind that people have no lives. Basta ayaw nilang sagutin. Ayaw kami sagutin. I file resolutions. The congressman from Leyte filed resolutions. Nagtatanong kung sino-sino, we ask. They give us this very general explanations, but up to now we haven't gotten a detailed explanation as to why the rehabilitation plan has not been implemented. The housing has not been done. We have not done. The national government has done very little to return the victims to their normal lives.
Salamat po. Thank
you very much, sir. Magandang buhay po sa ating lahat, Senator. Just to us, given a chance, and you're now the lucky Vice President sa ating bansa, and malaman lang po natin, what will be your, in the cabinet members, ano ho ang magiging choice nyo sa mga cabinet members sa ating magiging winning President, sir?
Well, yes, I've been asked this several times, and I think that when I look at the problems that I face, kung ano yung mga talagang pinakamalaking problema, isa sa pinakamalaking problema na nakikita ko is trabaho. So, sinasabi ko, siguro pwede akong makatulong sa DOLE kung bigyan ako ng pagkakataon. Dahil marami akong naiisip na pwede natin gawin. Hindi tayo kailangan magbago ng polisiya, hindi tayo kailangan magpasa ng bagong batas. Pagandahin lang natin ang patakbo ng DOLE para tulungan yung ating mga manggagawa. At hindi lang yun, yung OFW. Dahil napakalaking bahagi yan ng ating ekonomiya. And I think, ngayon, pagka tinanong ng taong bayan, sinasabi nila, isa sa pinakamalaking problema nga nila, hindi sila makahanap ng trabaho. So that is something that I think we just by making the system, the government systems more efficient and more sensitive and more responsive to the needs of our workers, I think we can help make a big change. For example, so ang dapat gawin ng gobyerno ay maglagay ng mga training program ng mga para paghanda yung ating mga labor, both skilled and unskilled, to enter into the labor market, into the here in the Philippines. We see that they say that the economy is growing at 5%, 6%, 7%, but somehow this growth in the economy does not bring new jobs. We have to grow the economy, and one way that the government can do that is to take on a policy of business-directed infrastructure. Maglagay tayo ng mga facilities, halimbawa, yung barado na yung airport. So, paano natin gagawin yung tourism? Pagandahin natin yun. Barado na ang ating mga puerto. Paano yung mga negosyante na nagpapasok ng raw material, na nagpapasok ng... We have to fix that. So, what about, bakit ang taas ng presyo ng bilihin? Dahil ang hirap dalhin mula sa farm hanggang sa palengke. So, ayusin natin yun. Gumawa tayo mas magandang farm-to-market roads. Gawin natin mas mura ang transport cost. So, there are many things that we can do that will help. We do not need to institute any new programs or any new policies. But if we just make the function of the government more efficient, we can do that. And I think DOLE will have the most immediate effect. But you know, I maswerte kayo rito. Ako, I escaped from APEC. But APEC is only indicative of what Manila is and all of the problems that they face. I talked about the ports. I talked about the airports. Sa malagay ko, hindi ko maintindihan bakit yung DOTC hindi lumayos-ayos yan. So, hindi pwede yung DOLE, yung DOTC, ayusin ko lahat yung mga problema yan. Hindi naman siguro mahirap.
Yes, sir. As the chair ng ating local government, Senator, sir, parang yung sa Facebook, magka-Facebook na ho sa linya ng ating senator sa ngayon, nakita ko po, nabasa ko po doon na farm-to-market road is one of the priority now. At nakita ko mostly sa May Kalinga province. We have some other plans for farm-to-market roads here in the Cordillera, Senator, sir. Thank you.
Well, it is already become naging priority ng Public Works. And as chairman of the Committee on Public Works, Senator, that is something that we have endorsed, that is something that we have encouraged. I think that the system, the network of farm-to-market roads is going to increase, but I still think we need to do more. So of course, magtanong tayo kung ano ba yan. Nandito si Mayor, nandito ating congressman, magtanong tayo kung ano ba talaga ang kailangan and if we can provide it. Now, unfortunately, I am not the favorite of this administration. So we will have to ask our friends who remain in the government when the time will come.
Sir, may proposal po ang International Alert, yung grupo nila, sir, kaugnay po sa ceasefire and peace talk and negotiation po between government and CPP and PA. Ano po ang magiging statement nyo dito, sir? Kasi po, hanggat maaari, until Christmas, until election period po ang maaari.
Kailangan pagpatuloy talaga lahat ng mga effort na makamtan natin yung kapayapaan with any of the armed groups that are still fighting the government. I think that we should never stop dahil hindi tayo pwedeng pumayag at hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na tatanggapin natin na meron pang labanan, lalo na sa gitna ng magkapang Pilipino na silang nagpapatayan. Ay dapat na hanggat maaari, hanggat na kaya natin gawin natin ang lahat na kaya natin gawin para nga matigil ang labanan na ganyan. So any effort, I think, should be supported, should be encouraged, should be recognized as something that we need to do. We should never stop. When it comes to peace talks, until the shooting has stopped, we should not stop trying to come to a peaceful settlement.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Senator.
Sir, just final question. What, to your mind, what would be the most important lesson that we have learned with our experience with Yolanda, and how we should improve on it to be ready for the next?
Marami tayong natutunan. And one of the biggest lessons that we learned is yung pre-calamity. Ibig sabihin, paghandaan na, alam na natin may darating na bagyo, paghandaan na natin. Halimbawa, in Leyte, marami sa mga namatay sa evacuation center. Dahil yung evacuation center, sa lakas ng hangin, na sira. At may mga naging casualties sa mga eskwelahan, sa mga evacuation center. So, kaya alam na natin na magkakaroon ng ganong kalakas, patibayin na natin yung mga evacuation center. That's one of the things that we should be prepared for. The other, yung pag-asa, patibayin natin ang kanilang kakayahan. So that we have many lessons to learn from other countries when it comes to preparing and then from mitigating, to do things that meron tayong maraming gawin to mitigate the effects. And then, of course, post-calamity, we have a lot to do in terms of being able to provide the relief goods. I think the single most important lesson that we have to continue to remind ourselves is politics has no place in calamity help. Huwag na natin, buhay na ng tao ito, pag-usapan ito. Hindi na ito eleksyon, hindi na ito kampanya. So, because if we come to that, if we understand that that is the situation, dapat anong naging kung saan tayo nahirapan sa Yolanda, 3 lang ang C-130 natin sa buong Pilipinas. So, dagdagan natin yun. Yung heavy lift na, yung helicopter natin, kulang. Yung ating ang tinatawag paggamit ng militar. Ang nangyari dito sa Yolanda, lagi ko sinasabi, ang military, bakit wala kayo dito? Bakit ba? Dahil ang military, dyan tayo magaling. Dyan tayo magaling na yung the quick transport of men and material. Hindi ba? Yan ang trabaho ng military. So bakit hindi nagamit yun? Bakit hindi sila naging bahagi ng sistema? So there are many lessons to be learned, and we know what those lessons are. The problem, the challenge is how to implement them. Kasi ang problema ko minsan, hanggat nandyan na yung bagyo, wala tayong gagawin. Diba? Dapat alam na natin, typhoon season magtayo na tayo, ayusin na natin yung mga evacuation center, maglagay na tayo ng relief goods, tingnan mo, pagmasdan natin ng mabuti yung weather, all of these things. So we have to take a proactive approach. That we are saying, eto na ngayon ang mangyayari, unahan natin. Let's prepare already. And prepare for making ourselves more ready for when the storm comes, and prepare ourselves to make ourselves more ready to provide relief when the time comes. And I think the again, a very important lesson from Yolanda is that yung rehabilitation at saka rebuilding, hindi nagagawa yan sa 3 buwan, sa 6 na buwan. Taon-taon yan. Lalo na kung ganyan malakas. So we have to commit ourselves to a long-term rehabilitation plan. Otherwise, hindi mababalik sa normal na buhay ang mga biktima. Kaya nga, at pumapasok tayo sa isang kandidatura, bilang isang Marcos, siyempre sisimulan natin dito sa Norte. So, I'm very happy to see that the beginnings of, once again, the voice of Ilocandia being heard in the national scene is a prospect that we can look forward to. And that will only come from the support of all our friends and all our fellow Ilocanos, but also we have to extend that support to the entire Philippines. So thank you very much for the kindnesses that you have given me and the political support that you have given not only me but my entire family over 2 generations. Stick it up.